We start in a place that many of us are thinking about this weekend, Bethlehem, where the Bible tells us that a young woman named Mary stopped for the night, and where shepherds, angels, and kings were led by an especially bright star to welcome and worship her newborn child.
He's the Prince of Peace, that's what we call him. That's what Christmas is all about.
And so, every year, 2 million pilgrims are drawn here to the Church of the Nativity, where there's a small cave that marks the humble beginnings of their Savior.
So I'm really excited to be here.
Do you believe this is where Jesus was born?
I do.
I met Alexander Drew and his mother Teresa, who traveled all the way from North Carolina to try to really connect with their faith.
I believe it's somewhere here. Whether it's right at that spot, I don't know. Now, when I go down there into the grotto, I may feel like this is the place.
But first, we must wait, as the Greek Orthodox caretakers prepare and purify this sacred place.
And down here in this grotto in the Church of the Nativity is this altar. It's marked by a silver star, and it's where Christians and the tradition says that all of this began. This is where they believe Jesus was born.
The faithful gathered in this intimate space believe that the birth of Jesus here was the fulfillment of a series of predictions and promises that began more than 2,000 years ago. 70 miles north of Bethlehem is the small hill city of Nazareth. An old Orthodox church marks the spot where it's said the angel Gabriel first told the Virgin Mary that she would bear a Savior.
I think Mary's response to the angel's words is nothing less than startling. Instead of saying, impossible, Mary said, bring it on, let's roll. What took you so long?
She had good reason to welcome the angel's news. Mary, like Jesus, was Jewish, and for generations, prophets such as Isaiah had been telling the Jewish people that a Messiah would come and lead them to their destiny.
But many Jews were looking for a mighty king, and Isaiah says, well, the Lord himself will give you a sign.
For example, in Isaiah, that a virgin would conceive and bear a son.
Like her Old Testament ancestors, from Noah to Moses to the prophets, Mary answered the call, and she's become an icon to more than just Christians.
In fact, in the Quran, she is the only woman who has a chapter dedicated to her. Mary is the most unifying factor within all world religion.
Back at the cave beneath the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, Alexander and his mother Teresa finally get their turn to touch the silver star.
It's unbelievable to think that this is where Jesus was born.
You know, actually being able to go down and touch the stone. You know, every Christmas, this is what we hear about. Before, I wasn't really sure about my faith, but now that I'm here and I'm seeing all of this, I love it. It's amazing.
The Christmas story is all about stars and light. In the Gospels, a star leads the three wise men, the Magi, to the newborn child.
At that point in time, when new stars were seen, it was usually a signal of the birth of an important, prominent person.
But could there really have been such a star on the night Jesus was born?
Scientists do indicate there was extraordinary activity in the skies.
But for many scholars, looking for proof of the Star of Bethlehem or proof of the Nativity itself misses the real point.
We don't know very much about the historical birth of Jesus. We know, however, that the tales that were told are timeless accounts that are powerful and beautiful and still are very moving to the present day.
But the story we celebrate this holiday season didn't start here. It actually follows the stories of all our ancient ancestors from the Old Testament.
If you think about it, at its very heart, the Bible is the story of a family, a great epic tale that spans and sprawls across the generations. Like most families, they started off by fighting one another and by making peace. They tried to make rules to live by and to keep them, or at least to learn from their mistakes. And like every family, they were convinced that they were special, even when everything was working against them. So to really understand this great family saga, I brought along my son Darius as we set off on our biblical detective story.
Mommy, can I get your entrance?
Flying high,
Look at this.
and low above the Nile Delta in Egypt.
I'm not falling. Try not to at least.
what did Moses do at Mount Sinai?
He received the 10 Commandments.
We visited archaeological digs.
Mom, isn't it so cool that we're up here?
Darius, it is so cool.
And even saw unexpected reminders of home.
What's the difference between this and the Washington Monument? We are on a train to Cairo.
In many ways, Darius is the reason I'm on this journey. You see, my mother is a Christian from England, and my father is a Muslim from Iran. I married a Jewish American. And in my son, all three of these great faiths come together.
Christiane Amanpour in Israel.
I've spent most of my professional life traveling from conflict to conflict, where the bloodshed usually had something to do with religion. So we wanted to find out whether these biblical stories that are shared have the power not just to divide and harm, but to unite and heal.
It's extraordinary just staring out of the window and you see all these mosques overlaying churches. And I think one of the extraordinary things is to realize and remember that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam have so much in common.
And these three faiths all trace their stories back to the biblical patriarchs, back to the beginning,